Good morning, my fellow yoga travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. Well, first for my story-oriented friends out there, it's Thursday. Aesop's Fable, not exactly fairy tales because it doesn't bring the other world into it, but folk tales that has some interesting little conclusions you can draw from it. This is called The Lion and the Mouse. It's one of the old favorite ones. Anyway, once there was a lion that was sleeping, and a mouse came across the lion on its path, and there was no way to get around it, so he tried to hop over the lion and actually, touched the lion's paw, and the lion woke up from its sleep, and then took its paw and smashed the tail of the mouse to hold it down. And the mouse said, "Please, don't eat me. I'm only a little nothing. It won't be good for your appetite." And the lion was kind of in a kindly moment and said, "All right, well, fine, I'll let you go." And the mouse said, "You won't be sorry. I could possibly help you one day." And the lion said, "Yeah, sure you could. Okay, fine. Come on, get out of here." So off he goes. And strange as it is, the lion did get captured and was lying there with ropes all around it. Couldn't move anywhere. He was roaring, letting everybody in the neighborhood know that he wasn't having a good time. And the mouse recognized the lion's roar. And he went to where the roar was, and he saw the lion all tied up. So he used his teeth to gnaw through the ropes and free the lion. And the lion thanked him very, very much. So the moral of the story is that kindness never goes wasted. So even though you didn't think that the mouse could help the lion, obviously there's circumstances when the power of the small can tame the power of the great. All right, that being said, that's the way we're going to begin our discourse today. So for my friends in the clutter world, substantial inroads to sorting things out yourself comes from dealing with that stuff which is crowded and the untidy collections of things, not just in the external world, but the untidy collections within yourself. When you get rid of it, you feel so free. So connect the clutter world to like the psychological world of letting things go. Now, for my journaling friends out there, question for the day is, what's the most positive thing that happened to you over the past week? Recognize it, appreciate the blessings of which you're aware, and what's the most positive thing you did for another person this past week? Well, I'd love to find that out. Let me know what's going on. I'll share with you. If you reach out to me, I'll reach out to you. All right, now my teacher, BKS Saying, is always reminding us that the practice of yoga isn't limited to the physical discipline. It also enjoins upon you ethical consequences, become aware of the ethical consequences of the choices you make. And one of the first things that's stated in the Yoga Sutras in the first chapter is the description of what's called Chitta Prasadnam, the diffusion of consciousness, sometimes also known as the abodes of Brahma, or sometimes the four frolics. The four frolics, because they say this is the states of consciousness that the God realm deals with. And the first one is friendliness, reaching out to all, creating a welcoming space, a smile, a safe space for everyone who you meet. Mudita, sympathetic joy, not only take advantage of all the pleasures that you're permitted to experience, and sometimes you don't take advantage of, enjoy the gifts of the Creator. That's one thing. And the next thing is when you see other people having a good time, being successful, no jealousy, no rancor. Be happy for them in this crazy world that people could find something to be celebrating about or take a moment to stop and appreciate. Be joyful for them also. Then the flip side is called karuna, and that's compassion. You know the personal hell from going through the universal hell. No one is free from this. So when you meet people, regardless of how it looks on the outside, regardless of what their public relations spin is, to make you think this is how it is, when we all know there's another story behind that isn't so cool, isn't so clean. So be compassionate to everyone who you meet. And then the last one is upeksha. This is one of the toughest ones to understand. Indifference. Indifference. Let karma take care of the people who act in ways where their aggression and their ignorance outweigh their peaceful and calm, insightful qualities. And although it may seem to be a pulling away, we're not saying that you can't be involved in social, political, and civic activities if you feel called to do that and that's your dharma. But otherwise, mind your own business. People do negative things. It's going to rebound upon them. How do you know? Because you've studied karma in your own life, and you know nobody gets away. Karma never forgets. So the indifference is, you know that they're digging a hole for themselves. You don't need to be the avenging angel. All right, with that being said, it's a reminder that when we're out there, we're ambassadors of goodwill. Everybody has been through a lot. So be compassionate, understanding for people. Even when you look at younger people, their virtual reality games, their Xbox stuff, it's the modern day version of what I used to call the pinball machine. For those of you who are from that era, how fascinating it is to have all those lights and sparks and your own skill. And of course, they had the archetypal thing, the Space Invaders, setting up the bad guys so the cowboys could get the rustlers, whatever it was. They bring their own morphic field, a certain kind of resonance with something inside yourself. It's like a gestalt of all these knowledges and ways of knowing and being that the computer offers. That's a treasure trove of possibilities. And the young people grow up with this. So it's available to them in a kind of way that's so easy, right? We didn't have that growing up. They're born into the world where that is. So I give them credit for that. And hopefully they can learn from the openness to everything that the internet provides for people, would be the recognition that the sign of the enlightened mind is the willingness to understand, and that there's a discomfort that comes from not understanding. It's as if our understanding is something that's living and buried in us, and there's discomfort because it doesn't like to be buried. It wants to surface. It has an inner sense that must break through the walls in order to breathe and be free. Otherwise, you're covered in obscurity, and then you're unhappy. And the soul is also unhappy when something is wrong with its vehicle, with the body. So this is why we say the body is the temple. You got to treat it well in order for you to be free, to let go of what blocks you. And so you can come into a deeper understanding of yourself, your relationship to everything, and also life. And you can't do it piecemeal. You have to look at life as a whole, which is going to include everything. It's a pretty vast mindset, pretty vast perspective. Yoga will help you open to that. So remember, as I leave today, quick little affirmation you can say is, I am a magnet attracting to myself all that I think, feel, speak, and act. And if you remember that in the light of truth, there are no secular activities. Everything you do is connected to an embodiment of spirit in your day, in your historical time period, in your family, in whoever you hang out with, and certainly within yourself.